Previously on Legends of Aelos. The five are still in the underbelly of the cantankerous tankard. Rowan is next to step foot into the arena, and for his opponent stands Porvis, a dark-haired man whose heterochromatic eyes match the coloration of the tattoos which span his arms and upper torso. The intensity of the fight is apparent to all, not only from the demonstration of prowess and skill, but also from the impact of said effects on each opposing body as the fighters go blow for blow, Rowan with his raw strength and speed against Porvis's arcanically enhanced arms as frost and flame surge from his tattoos, empowering each blow against the half-elf fighter. Until the last vapors of vigor remain in one, the fight continues, and it is a barely conscious Rowan who stands victorious over Porvis, whom laughs and congratulates his opponent after regaining his senses. With the fight over and healing magic easing some of the soreness from the bouts, all return to their respective parties and companions, though Briar does have a particularly interesting conversation with a wiry old woman, whom Dom is most familiar with, Mother Raven. Asher gives the bruised Rowan a little extra magical replenishment, and by sheer happenstance, unintentionally introduces Rowan to his druidic deity, whom appears to Asher as a reassuring entity, encouraging him along the path that he currently walks, commending his efforts thus far. She beckons to him, and by proxy Rowan, to remain the course, despite how bleak or trying the upcoming events they might experience could be. The goddess takes her leave afterwards, and along with her departure, Asher and Rowan are snapped back into the tavern, leaving Asher relatively unfazed, but Rowan understandably so, which Asher basically explains as being fairly normal, though uncommon this particular time, and not to ponder upon it at length. With everyone back in their proper place, not that anyone else is aware of what transpired for Asher and Rowan, Briar gathers the group to a private room to give an impromptu lesson on dealing with those whom are of the Fae, and what ramifications could come from one's hubris or promises made to them. A lesson that could very likely be a bit late for Dominicus, considering the promise of the chalice. As they discuss the chalice Mother Raven so vehemently seeks, another interloper makes a sudden appearance, the face of someone they had sought since discovering the blight upon Lake Grasp, this raven-faced man that now stands before them of its own accord, as the party inquires as to why it perpetrated such a heinous act. It elucidates as to why it plagued Lake Grasp, in seeking the destruction of its other part, Mother Raven. As the party is made fully aware of the trifecta, though the power of the chalice is still not made clear, and the reasonings and effects of certain parties possessing said chalice are enigmatic at best, though the allusion to a dark and powerful entity, a statement made as its eyes lock with Karun's, strikes a chord so deep that Karun draws silent. Soon after, the third ego of Raven departs, and the tension of the room eases somewhat as the group determines the remainder of their evening, as well as their sleeping situations, Dom electing to try his luck with the barmaid he had been talking up at the tavern, and Briar, bedding down in her mother's room for the evening, confesses to her of her utilization of fire magics. Karun still ponders what the third ego had referenced, and questions what connections this chalice might have in relation to the chalice that Kalandra had used to purge the entity from his phylactery and soul. Are they of the same nature, or is there something different here? Is it power sought by the same entity, or is there another? He ponders this as he attunes to a ring that will hopefully help prevent anyone from delving into his own mind, protect against anything that might corrupt his soul. Another measure of security against dark influences. In the morning, the party gathers, Dom taking a moment longer considering his trek back from an eventful evening. Once all are gathered, they depart towards the castle, Hargar having been notified and awaiting their arrival. En route, however, the party is met with a distraught yet familiar face and a sobering sight. as Asher Asterion hurries towards the temple next to the castle, carrying his beloved Eden as she lay limp in his arms. Karun hurries to triage the young tiefling, but when Asher confirms her death having occurred in Goldmont, nearly 2 days' travel from Kinghaven, Karun somberly gives a small glimmer of hope, but advises Asher prepare for the worst. Asher rebukes Karun's advisement and hurries into the temple, hoping the congregation will overlook their prejudice and return life to his beloved. The party knows there is nothing they can do for Asher, despite their desires to do so. Relenting, they return towards the castle and enter as they are welcomed with anticipation from the guards. After having their weapons collected per security regulations, the 5 are led through the keep grounds, eventually to the dining hall, where they are greeted by Hargar and Princess Coel, along with the king and queen, her parents, and the governing heads of the royal family of Eswin. And it is from here we shall continue the story of the Legends of Aelos.